But I'm telling you, the poison is here.
31111.
Nuclear reactors melting down.
31111.
So when the utility says that things are stable, it's only stable in the sense that you're dangling from a cliff, hanging by your fingernails, and as the time goes by, each fingernail starts to crack. That's the situation now.
31111.
Tokyo Electric has been in denial, trying to downplay the full impact of this nuclear accident.
Just let nature take its course. Let nature take its course. This is not nature. This is the most unnatural thing in the history of the planet.
However, radiation is continuing to leak out of the reactors. The situation is not stable at all. So you're looking at basically a ticking time bomb. It appears stable.
That's what it's kicking out.
A full-scale meltdown at 3 nuclear power stations, far beyond what we saw at Chernobyl.
Far beyond what we saw at Chernobyl. This is not nature.
Brutal.
Destination unsure.
Three 1111.
This is not nature. This is not nature. This is not nature. This is not nature.
There's nothing alive. It's like we're on the moon or something.
So, this report from TEPCO seems serious, maybe even ominous.
They're literally making it up as they go along. We're in totally uncharted territories. You get any nuclear engineering book, look at the last chapter, and this scenario is not contained in the last chapter of any nuclear engineering textbook on the planet Earth. So they're making it up as they go along.
And we are the guinea pigs for this science experiment that's taking place. Warning! I mean, that might be what's about to. It's obvious the problem. Japan! That's total confusion. That's genetic blasphemy. That's misguided mitosis, crashing chromosomes.
31111.
The implications for human health is disastrous.
To decay at cesium-137 emits gamma radiation, which passes through the body.
Showcased in the Mutant Garden.
Because of the fact that the radiation levels are so great, workers can only go in for perhaps 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time, and they get their year's dose of radiation. You're there for 1 hour, and you have radiation sickness. You vomit, your white corpuscle count goes down, your hair falls out. You're there for a day, and you get a lethal amount of radiation.
Here's what it says in Revelation chapter 8, verse 10. And a third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And a third part of the waters became wormwood. And many men died of the waters, because they were made bitter or poisonous.
Has it really taken a good look at those reactors? Has it really taken a good look at those reactors?
What do you know?
Well, they have to develop the robot. And they're finding these surprises, radiation levels much higher than previously measured.
Get to sleep. Sleepwalking. They're hypnotized.
It's way worse than originally thought. This is a wormwood moment.
Well, Fukushima is possibly the longest running continuous industrial disaster in history. It has not stopped because the risks are still there. This is going to take decades to decommission the site. And then what is going to happen with all this highly radioactive waste, especially the molten fuel? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
They also collect the water. They've got about more than 1,000 tanks of contaminated water stored at the Fukushima site. By my rough estimate, maybe about 100 million gallons of contaminated water is being stored there.
as relates to Japan and Fukushima and the lies and the false propaganda that has been, that's literally been released upon the world, and certainly the Japanese people.
Nuclear reactors melting down.
It also tipped the Earth off its axis 4.8 inches.
Do not panic. This is the main message from a team of scientists who conducted a global survey on the radiation exposure caused by the meltdown of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant reactors. The team's conclusion: everyone on Earth received the equivalent of an X-ray's worth of radiation from the Fukushima accident.
Devastated the Fukushima nuclear plant, spewing radiation. But I'm telling you, the poison is here. Fukushima disaster. Radiation levels poisoning. Cancer risk.
This whole world has no idea how much trouble it's in.
I'm being told that white smoke rising from a blast was heard at reactor number 3.
Deja vu all over again.
Those things, that would be bad news. And by the way, should I get out of here?
31111.
Stand a chance of contaminating many places. Here's CNN claiming their in a billion that don't exist.
TEPCO injects hundreds of tons of water daily into the reactors to keep them cool, but groundwater is pouring into the damaged reactors and has to be pumped out and stored. They can't build these tanks fast enough. An additional 400 tons of contaminated water needs to be stored every day. That's as much water as the average American household uses in a year. At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure. In 4 hours, I received the equivalent of less than a chest x-ray. Seth is in our Tokyo newsroom tonight. Seth, what's it gonna take to clean this up? Well, quite a bit of time, Scott. The cleanup operation is underway 24 hours a day. It's projected to cost upwards of $100 billion and could take as many as 40 years to complete. 40 years to complete.
Cesium is water soluble and quickly makes its way into soils and waters. It's the same atomic family as potassium, and it mimics it, acting as a macronutrient. It quickly becomes ubiquitous in contaminated ecosystems.
Increase in cancer rates. In Fukushima, Japan.
Some may have concerns about Fukushima. Let me assure you, the situation is under control. It has never done and will never do. any damage.
There are as many atoms in 1 gram of cesium-137 as there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the world. That's 10 to 21 atoms, 10 to the 21st power. 1,480 trillion of them, which is 10 to the 12th power, are disintegrating every second, releasing invisible nuclear energy. So this works out to about 1.5 million disintegrations per square meter. You can see how this works then.
Exploding rates of thyroid cancer in children, as well as an epidemic of leukemia, heart attacks, and other health problems.
31111
continue to sweep all this fallout of Fukushima disaster under the rug. That disrupt the DNA code. This is what happens when you have cancer-causing, DNA-disrupting isotopes that are being put into the environment on a scale that has never been witnessed or experienced by humankind. But on March 11, 2011, this massive earthquake and tsunami triggered multiple meltdowns at the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan. It is, and was, and still is, the worst nuclear disaster in history, releasing twice as much radioactive material than the 1986 Chernobyl disaster.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Radiation levels here soar 100 times higher than normal. TEPCO, the company that owns the crippled plant, is still struggling to deal with the disaster. All 4 reactors are still emitting radiation. To retrieve fuel from 3 other reactors that melted down. Those are so radioactive that the technology to dismantle them does not exist yet. The poison is here.
The operator of Fukushima Daiichi has begun releasing groundwater from the nuclear plant into the sea. Officials of Japanese government and Tokyo Electric Power Company are trying to reduce the amount of groundwater that's accumulated around the site. The contaminated water is increasing at a rate of 300 tons a day.
Deformed and abnormal animals reported and starving. Deformed, abnormal, and starving. No, don't worry. No, don't worry. No, don't worry.
We are running out of time.
No, don't worry. You're gonna take down the entire fucking planet with you.
Uninhabitable radioactive exclusion zone.
Well, there's something called the Faustian bargain. Faust was this mythical figure who sold his soul to the devil for unlimited power. Now, the Japanese government has thrown the dice with the Faustian bargain. Japan has very little fossil fuel reserves, no hydroelectric power to speak of, and so they went nuclear.
Rising cancer rates and other health problems after Japan's Fukushima nuclear disaster, the world's worst in 25 years, according to the United Nations scientists. The radiation exposure following the reactor meltdowns more than 2 years ago did not, I repeat, did not cause any immediate health effects. What? Are you serious? The United Nations, that is your report?
Uninhabitable radioactive exclusion zone. Nå som juks, skal vi der roble banger.
They're literally making it up as they go along. We're in totally uncharted territories. You get any nuclear engineering book, look at the last chapter, and this scenario is not contained in the last chapter of any nuclear engineering textbook on the planet Earth. So they're making it up as they go along, and we are the guinea pigs for this science experiment that's taking place.
Deformed, abnormal.
Deformed, abnormal.
Deformed, abnormal. Deformed, abnormal.
You're gonna take down the entire fucking planet with you.
There have been no health-related problems until now, nor are there any at present, nor will there be in the future. I make this statement to you in the most emphatic and unequivocal terms. Furthermore, I shall take responsibility to implement programs for the drastic resolution in order to render the situation completely problem-free.